Welcome back to V Recaps. Today, we will talk about the 2018 psychological thriller film called Acrimony.
Bath is ready already.
Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a courtroom scene where the judge reprimands Melinda and counsels her to seek counseling in order to avoid receiving worse penalties like jail time. Her lawyer prompts her to say that she understands as she turns to look across the courtroom. Reluctant to go to therapy, she decides to go anyway and starts telling the court-appointed therapist her narrative of betrayal. She begins by recounting how she met Robert in the rain, when their coursework is unintentionally switched. Robert locates her dorm room to get both his and hers. Given that he has already taken the course, he offers to help her with her paper. After that, they started to see each other. Melinda unfortunately fails an assignment, and just as she's telling Robert about her mother's efforts, her sisters appear and inform her about the passing of their mother. After the funeral, Mel's sisters, June and Brenda, interrogate Robert.
Oh, Devin, come here.
Hey.
The sisters also introduce him to the ex-boyfriend of Melinda, Devin. Robert walks away, but Melinda chases him down and drives him home. They continue talking in his RV and enter the bedroom where they make love. They eventually become lovers. Melinda then resides in her mother's home and has $350,000 in insurance. Despite the sisters' advice not to disclose this information to Robert, Melinda has already done so. On one of their dates, he shares his ambition to market a groundbreaking battery that he has invented for Prescott's company. However, he worries that he won't be able to get to the company's office because he lacks transportation. So Melinda buys a car for him. This is where things start to go south. Her realization of his calls decreasing in frequency occurs almost instantly, and she starts to worry that he might be having an affair. Then, as she approaches his RV, she notices a hand on the window and hears what sounds like an intense kiss. Consequently, she repeatedly crashes her Jeep against the RV's side until it tips over. We later find that the other girl Robert takes out of the bedroom window is Diana. Melinda fell unconscious after hitting her stomach on the steering wheel, resulting in internal injuries that necessitated a hysterectomy. When Melinda returns home, Robert shouts out to her, infuriating her sisters. She begs them to allow her to see him. He apologizes and tells her that he didn't care about the girl and that he wouldn't do it again. Melinda then reconciles with him. She also pays Robert's tuition after he informs her that he won't have the funds to finish his last 2 semesters. Melinda marries Robert, and as time goes by, she runs out of money. Robert struggles to get a job because of a prior conviction. Melinda works 2 jobs and has decided to mortgage their home, while Robert has decided to invest everything they own in his battery innovation.
This is my battery working. It's run the whole house.
18 years have passed, and the company is still not responding to him, and the house is going to undergo foreclosure. When he learns that Prescott has hired Diana as his administrative assistant, he immediately asks her for advice.
God, I can't help you.
What? Why?
Soon after, June and Brenda arrive at her home to ask her about the foreclosure, while her sister's husbands offer Robert work. They have an important client who will give an advance payment if they meet his requirements on the delivery service. Robert agrees to work for them, but expresses disappointment that Melinda did not defend him in front of her family. At work, Melinda's sister checks Robert's mileage and finds Diana's wallet. The sisters immediately inform her. Meanwhile, Robert, after Diana tells him that Prescott wants to meet with him at 11:30 with his invention, cancels his delivery shift and quickly heads home. Melinda comes back to the house to question him and won't believe whatever he says.
Stop it!
Her sisters come just in time to take her away from him as they start to fight. Robert is then able to depart for his meeting. When Robert enters the boardroom, he is presented with a $700,000 offer. He declines it because he wants to safeguard his license and the copyright. He returns home to tell Melinda what transpired. Her sisters and brothers-in-law are gathered around her in the living room as she smokes a cigarette. She informs him that it is done. Robert informs her about the offer and asks her to trust him. She does, however, tell him to leave and that she wants a divorce. After losing her home, Melinda moves in with her sister. Then she starts seeing Devin. During one of their dates, Melinda sees Robert working as a dishwasher. Later on, the ex-couple visits the lawyer's office to sign the paperwork.
I could honestly say with all my heart that I love you.
And she continues to ignore Robert's repeated requests not to have a divorce. While he is at work, Robert receives a call from Diana. She informs him that she will be picking him up. He starts to reside with her, and one day, she presents him with a check worth $75 million. The employer of Prescott complied with his requests and paid him. Thereafter, Robert shows up at Melinda's workplace carrying a bouquet of flowers and apologizes profusely.
Just sorry that my dream took so long to come true.
He hands her the keys and the deeds to her mother's house, in addition to a check worth $10 million. He also declares his love for her. Melinda then goes over to his sister's house. She displays the check and accuses her sisters of being the reason she lost everything. Following that, Robert, at his apartment with a view of the city, hears a knock at the door. It is his ex-wife. Melinda expresses her love for him and removes her outerwear to show her lingerie since she believes that this visit signifies that he is still in love with her.
Sorry I'm late, babe.
However, Diana shows up and identifies herself as Robert's fiancée. The now mad Melinda departs and starts stalking them online. She goes to court and demands more money from Robert, but the judge dismisses the case because of how generous Robert has been. She was enraged by this. She goes into the shop and pours acid all over Diana's bridal dress. We go back to the court where the first scene started. All of the judgment is in favor of Robert. Subsequently, the sisters of Melinda invite Diana and Robert to alert them of Melinda's danger. When Melinda gets to the house, she sees that the two of them are already there.
So what y'all been doing? Talking about me?
No.
Behind my back? Huh?
Melinda drives off indignantly as the new couple exits right away. One day, Melinda finds out that Robert bought Diana a yacht with the name Mrs. Gayle on it. Melinda remembers Robert making this promise to her, but he keeps it for another woman. After their wedding, Robert and Diana board their yacht and depart. Robert stays on deck and drinks his champagne, while Diana goes down to run a bath. Melinda suddenly appears, carrying a gun while donning Diana's bridal gown. She directs the employees to jump into the sea while Robert is trying to stop her. Melinda, full of anger, shoots him in the abdomen. Diana runs to her husband after hearing the gunfire, and she sees Melinda. Melinda pursues her while demanding her to hand over the ring. The furious ex-wife believes that she is the rightful owner of everything Diana now owns.
First wife puts in all the work, and you whores reap the benefits? No, ma'am. Give it here.
To save Diana, Robert throws Melinda off the yacht and instructs Diana to take the crew's little boat and turn off the yacht. In the last scene of the movie, Melinda is able to return, dripping wet and carrying an axe. She comes after Robert, walks into the anchor's chains, raises the axe, and strikes it on Robert's leg. Melinda is about to do it again when Robert unintentionally releases the anchor, pulling the chain she is stepping into, drawing her off the boat and into the ocean. Melinda perishes. Diana and the crew come back and start helping Robert, and then it all fades to black. Although there are many sad and sympathetic parts to the story, you will always understand why the character feels the way they do and acts in the ways that they do. This movie will almost certainly change our perceptions of our interpersonal relationships. Rather than counting what she or he does not do, perhaps we can see how deep our love truly runs when we are satisfied with what they do. If we aren't, it's the type that will keep us anchored in our worst emotions during our best years. If you enjoy watching our videos, feel free to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you get updated whenever we upload new videos.